us to have gotten that win and to have had close losses and knowing who we are as an offense, defense, and special teams as a whole team, it's just on us to make sure that we still, keep that faith and not go off the assumptions of, what our record is.
All right. So that record is 4-5, bottom half of the division behind the Bills and Dolphins, which is a rare thing to say about the Patriots. So, Stephen A., let me ask you this. Do you think the Pats are more likely to finish below or above 500?
Neither. I got them at 8-8. I just look at the rest of their schedule right here at 4-5. Could they go 4-3 over the final games of the season? Sure, but they've got Houston. I think that's a win. But then there's Arizona, both LA teams, the Chargers and the Rams, the Dolphins, the Buffalo Bills. I'm definitely giving them a victory over Houston. I'm definitely giving them a victory over the New York Jets. And I think that between Arizona, Chargers, Rams, Dolphins, and Bills, they will go 2-3. And that's where they go. I think that's where they go to 8-8. And so for me, that's how I view them right now. I think that defensively, Bill Belichick always figures out a way to keep his team in a contest to make them competitive. But I thought they were assisted greatly by inclement weather in Foxborough on Sunday when they were going up against the Ravens. I don't anticipate that that's going to be a case, particularly in Houston and particularly in LA and Miami. They got 3 road games, 2 of them in Southern California and 1 of them near South Beach. I don't think weather will be an issue in those games. So that's where I'm at with it. I think that offensively they're challenged, defensively they're better, but the bottom line is I just don't think they have enough offensive firepower to win. They'll keep games competitive and close, but ultimately I see them going 4-3 over the last 7 games and finishing with an 8-8 record.
I'm going to take them to go over 500, guys. And I understand exactly what you're saying, Stephen A. It's good logic. And I'll say that their point differential, which tells you underlying is negative. They give up more points than they score, which means they should be under 500, right? But let me say something about that real quick. Miami, they start the season as a very good team, as it turns out. They won by 2 scores. Seattle, they lost on a goal line stand. Seattle was like 7-8-1 at one point, right? The Raiders, they won by 3 scores. That's your sleeper pick in the AFC, Stephen A. Then they play the Chiefs without Cam because of COVID. And without Cam and with a terrible call that went against them, they were competitive for most of that game. Then they had a bad part of the season, right? The Broncos and the Niners, they lose to the Broncos, a team they were favored to beat. They get stomped out by the Niners. But I'll remind you, this is right around the time where the facilities were often shut, like the Chiefs, the Chiefs game on. Their facilities were shut down for days at a time. And when you have all those defections off the defense because of COVID and other reasons to start the season, and when you have very few offensive weapons and the coach is doing it with spit and bubble gum, boy, you need that practice time, right? I think our perception of this team is negatively affected by the fact that COVID hit the quarterback, shut down the facilities, and they lost to 2 teams, one of them badly, that put them in a real hole. How about since then, as they've come out of that, as they've been able to practice, as Cam has gotten healthy? They barely lose to the Bills. Cam is stripped, or else probably they win that game. They beat the Jets. They claw their way to the victory against a bad team, and then they just beat a very good team in the Ravens. So actually, when you look at this season, when the Broncos and the Niners make us think of them differently. So now think of a team that's already beaten Miami, beaten the Raiders, beaten the Ravens, came very close against the Seahawks and the Bills, and now look at their schedule. I think they can beat the Texans, Chargers, and Jets. I think that can be 3 wins. Can they lose one of those games? Sure. But I think that they'll do it against those 3 teams. Now I'm looking at Arizona at Foxborough. That's, on the road against the Rams, on the road against Miami and the Bills. Can they go 2-2? Based on what I've seen in their quality wins and near losses, I think they can. I think there's a good chance this team can win 9 games, and I'll take them to win 9 games in spite of this point differential and in spite of how they've looked at their worst.
Yeah, I agree with you, Max. I mean, when you look at this football team, listen, Bill Belichick, I mean, he is doing an incredible job coaching this football team. When you talk about all the guys who decided not to play because of COVID, like you said, going through the experience with the team as Cam tested positive and throughout that entire time, it's been a masterful job of coaching just to stay competitive in games, in all honesty. And like you said, they probably should have beat the Bills, right? It comes down to Cam holding on to the ball late, which is a very good football team. And I'm the same way you. I'm bullish on them getting 9 wins. And here, this is the crazy part about them. At 9 wins, they're not going to make the playoffs, right, or whatever, so they're kind of out. I think everybody in the AFC would take a big sigh of relief, because when Bill Belichick gets his script for you in the playoffs, I think teams get tight. The other part about the Arizona game in particular, I will say this. It will be interesting for me to watch how they defend Kyler Murray, right? Like we just saw the Bills have a 23-7 lead going into the fourth quarter and not be able to hold it. I'm interested to see how that thing plays out. I'm telling you, the Patriots and Belichick have done a really good job of buying in. I don't love Cam talking about we're better than our record, or however he says that kind of thing. Because the truth is, you are what you are, right? Like it is what it is, and so your record is what you played to. But they do have the capability, because of coaching, to play better than we all anticipated, and I think they have. And again, Bill Belichick, the greatest of all time, or somewhere in that category. But it's been a masterful job on the coaching side.